Class 11th Economics. Name of the book Statistics for Economics. Chapter 1 Introduction. Today we are going to start Chapter 1 of this book, which is entitled Introduction. In this chapter we will begin by explaining what do we understand by economics. Now, it is very difficult for a layman to define economics because he will not be able to have an idea about economics unless and until he studies the content of the subject economics. When you are familiar with the content of the subject, you will have a very strong, broad idea as to what this subject incorporates within itself. But it will also be a good approach to give you a brief idea as to what this subject will be all about, so that you are able to perceive this subject from that specific perspective. Now, when we are speaking of economics, the things that the thing or the idea that begets in our mind is this: it probably might be related to business. Now, when we say business, it means that an activity which is being generated to earn an income. In a business, we are doing certain activities, and those activities are helping us to get income, get money, get profit. So what are those activities? Those activities are related to producing goods and services, supplying goods and services, selling goods and services. So all these activities are intertwined with two important concepts, that they are supplying goods and services to the consumer for consumption, and in return those consumers are providing them money in return, which becomes their income, which will help them in satisfying their own needs and requirements. So what we see here is this: both the producer and the consumer are interacting with each other with the single objective of satisfaction of their wants. So this is very important element or subject matter of economics, that it tells us how a person tries to satisfy his wants, and these wants are not single want. It's not like that today I am having one want, that is over. We all know that one want is satisfied, another want crops up. So it is an ongoing process. Want is a continuous activity. We are never ever satisfied. We are craving for certain things. We are satisfied with the availability of that craving. Then another craving starts. So we can say that wants are unlimited. Okay, but the resources that is going to satisfy our wants are limited in nature. So that becomes the problem, because we have got innumerable wants, unlimited wants, but the resources which will be satisfying my want or the wants of the entire country or the world or the humanity, they are limited. So there is now a fight as to who is able to get resources which is going to satisfy his want, his society's want, his country's want, or his continent want. So this way we move on and broaden the concept or broaden the area of our study. So we can say like this, that economics is a subject which tells us how a person is doing an activity which is helping him in satisfying his unlimited wants. And moreover, these wants are needs to be satisfied with the resources which is limited in nature. So now we are having unlimited wants, so we have to choose from those unlimited wants that we have, because we have got limited resources. So economics is also a study of the choice that a person is going to make, which goods he is going to choose from the market which he thinks is going to give him utmost satisfaction or maximum satisfaction. So economics is also a science of choice when it is faced with scarce means and unlimited wants. So you have to choose from the limited resources that is available, which is going to satisfy at least one of your want. Now in that series, let us try to define the definitions that has been given by Adam Smith. Adam Smith was a renowned economist also, or he was a philosopher. He was a philosopher, and then in the year 1776, in his book Wealth of Nation, he has said that economics is an inquiry into the nature and causes of the wealth of nations. So what does it mean? What are the nature of the wealth that is available, and how we are able to make those wealth available to us? Why we need those wealth? Those wealth we need because it has got its demand. So it is probably the wealth that is available, the resources that is available he has talked about, and the utility of those resources are useful to us because they are demanded by the people need them. That is why they are useful to us. So things which we don't require is of no utility to us, they are a waste to us. So he has talked about the causes of the wealth of nations in his book The Wealth of Nation. Then we move on to another definition that has been given by Alfred Marshall. Alfred Marshall, he has said that economics is the study of the man's actions in the ordinary business of life. What does it mean? It means that how a man is able to perform certain actions in order to do business. And those business are going to create an activity which is going to generate goods and services produced in the society which will satisfy the wants of the people. So it inquires how he gets his income and how he uses it. He also a person is involved into an activity which is able to through which he is able to generate an income because he is into production, and when he is producing goods and services, obviously he is going to get something in return. So when a person is able to produce goods and services, he is going to generate an income, and with that income he himself is going to buy those goods and services which is produced by various other people who are involved in production activities, and he can buy it to satisfy his own demands, own needs. Okay. So that is also, it inquires how he gets his income and how he uses it. It means what are the production activities involved into, and what are the ways that he is going to use those resources, means alternative uses of those resources. It is on one side the study of the wealth, and on the other side, and in the other more important side, a part of the study of man. So what it means that Alfred Marshall said that economics not only studies about the resources, that is the wealth that is available to us, but it is also trying to study whether those resources which is available is able to satisfy the consumers or not, the person or not. So it is basically human welfare that he is talking of. So goods are available to us in a society, and those goods which are going to promote or generate human welfare has to have an utility and should be emphasized in its production, or should be used for producing or transformation to produce wide variety of goods that is associated with it, because it is going to generate more of an human welfare. Now another definition that has been given by Robbins, that has emphasized upon that economics studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. So here when we talk about ends, we are talking about the requirements, the demands, the need, the wants. And the scarce means the resources that is available which are limited in nature. And these resources, they become all the more limited because these resources can be put to alternative uses. Now, what do we understand by the alternative uses of resources? When we speak about alternative uses, it means, for example, let us say I would like to have milk for myself. So milk can be used for drinking, milk can be used for making tea, for coffee, for ice cream, for cheese, for curd, for sweets. So there are so many alternative uses of milk, but milk is limited. It is a limited resource. It is limited in quantity, and there are so many requirements. There are so many wants of milk. And those milk can be put for alternative uses also. So depending upon these wide ways through which into which these resources, limited resources, can be utilized, it becomes scarcer in nature. So people have to make a choice that which one they want, and that choice is going to depend upon the availability of resources that is available to them, that is largely the money income. So Robbins tried to emphasize upon the scarcity of the resources that is available to us, and how they can be made best, how can we make best possible use of those scarce resources. Now we move on to different concepts of economics. Here we will be talking about different concepts like consumer, seller, producer, employee, and employer. Now who is a consumer? When we are going to talk about a consumer, who is a consumer? A consumer is someone who is consuming goods. Okay, a consumer is someone who is consuming goods. How he is consuming goods? By purchasing goods which is available in the market, and he will use it for his consumption purposes. Now let me make a difference here between consumer and a customer. A customer is a one who buys goods. and he can use it for transforming those raw materials which probably he has bought into finished goods. So he's a customer. For example, I am into manufacturing sector. I will go to a farmer and I will purchase cotton. So I am a customer to the cotton bales that a farmer is producing. That cotton bales I will use it and manufacture it into my industry and transform that cotton bales into cotton. Okay, and the cloth that is getting that I produce. So I am the customer of the cotton that is being produced by the farmer. So that cloth that I am producing, that I will sell it into the market. I will sell it in the market, and the person who will buy it, he also becomes a customer. If he is further on the line of business activity, that he will further transform that cloth and transform it into finished goods. It could be some kind of dress that he probably will make with the use of the cloth that he has purchased, and those dress that will finally be sold to a consumer who will use it for their own satisfaction. So consumer is a person who buys the goods from or goods and services from the market to meet his own personal requirement, so for his own personal consumption. So that person is a consumer. Then a seller is a person who sells the goods that is in the market. Producer, who produces the goods in the market. And an employee is who is an employee. Employee is a person who works for someone in an institution. An employer is a person who hires an employee. So if I am working under someone, I am an employee to that someone, and that someone becomes my employer. Now we move down to another important concept. We cannot get something without giving nothing. This is a simple concept, and it is a normal law of the society also, that you have to do certain things in order to receive something in return. So we are not living in a world, in an utopian world, where if we wish for something and that something will be generated to us. So it was just a situation. You can have heard a story of Aladdin, how he had that magical lamp, and genie would appear when he would have scrubbed against the lamp, and his wish would get fulfilled. But this is not happening in a real life. In our real life, we have to do certain things if we want something in return. So when we talk about real life, we have to take into consideration the same important thing, that is unlimited wants, limited resources, and alternative uses of those resources. And these real life situations exist because these resources are scarce. So scarcity is the root cause of all the problems, because resources are scarce and they can be put to alternative uses, which make it all the more scarcer. And hence we need to do certain activity or action in order to use those limited resources available to us, because we need to buy those limited resources. And how we are going to buy those limited resources? By generating an income for ourselves, which can be used as a resource to buy the resource that we require for our own satisfaction. So how we will choose, how we will decide, so that again becomes the subject matter of economics, that is the choice of the consumer, because there are n number of resources or goods that is available in the market, but we have got limited means to avail those goods and services. So we have to make a choice what we want, whether we want to buy milk for the consumption as it is, or we want to buy curd from the market, or we want to buy cheese from the market, because we have got limited money income. And with that limited money income, what all I can afford, that is going to limit my choice. So choice is an important element that has to be initiated by the customer, and the choice of the consumer, or the choice of the consumer, is going to decide the production activities that would probably happen in an economy or a country. So now when we talk about the choice actually depends the consumption requirement of the consumer, and depending upon the consumption requirement of the consumer, the production activity is going to get initiated in an economy, and that production activity will get distributed to different sectors of the economy, to different segments, or the people who are associated in the production activity, that will become their source of income. So there are diverse economic activities that takes place in an economy, and they all are associated with production, distribution, consumption. Okay, so now let us understand this circular flow. Here I have taken business firms, and here we are having households. So business firms, they are largely involved into production activities, and households are here taken as the consumption unit. Now what happens when business firms, they are producing what? Goods and services, and these goods and services are demanded by the households. So households, they demand goods and services, and in return they pay money to the business firms. Now what these, with this money income, what these business firms do, these business firms, they generate employment opportunities to these households. They get land, they get labor, capital and enterprise, and with these resources that they can get from the households, in return they will pay the services that they get from these households. They in return they will pay on land the rent, on to labor the wages, on capital the interest, and with the enterprise they will generate a profit. So this is all the circular flow that happens in an economy. Everywhere there are production activities and there are consumption activities that takes place, and these production and consumption activities, they get distributed in an economy. So he is also, though he largely depicted business firms as a producer, but they themselves also are the consumer of labor, of capital, of enterprise, etc. Okay, so they consume these services and in return they pay these kind of money income. Okay, here also households are consuming these goods and services and they are paying money income. So there is a flow of wealth in an economy. So what I am generating as an income, that is getting circulated to the households, which becomes their income, that again becomes the source of income for business firms for the goods and services that they buy. So this is a circular flow. Exchange of goods and services keeps on happening, and that is how the economy moves, and that this is how the circular flow starts expanding. It starts becoming larger, and then that is what we talk about, the trickle down effect. If all large number of people are getting encompassed within this circular flow, means employment is getting generated, so they are able to generate an income for themselves, and hence they start becoming resourceful and start purchasing goods and services that they require for themselves. So this is how this consumption, production and distribution are interrelated in an economy. Now we move on to another important aspect, that is the statistics in economics. When we talk about statistics, it refers to the data that can be used by the person or an economist in order to draw conclusions for certain theories or certain certain concepts or certain policy that probably they would like to initiate for the smooth functioning of an economy. So economic facts can be represented in the format of economic data, and these economic data is available in a statistical format which gives a quantitative information about the happenings in an economy. So the importance of statistics in economy is that it helps us in understanding and explaining the various factors behind the causes and the decisions that probably can be taken by the government as a policy formulation in order to sort down the problems of the consumers. So it also helps us in analyzing the problems that probably economy is facing through that data. For example, if we find that there are large number of people who are having or falling in a low income group, so that could be analyzed through the data, statistical information that is available to us. Okay, this percentage of these many people, or this is the percentage of people in a country who are living below in a low income group, or who are in a middle income group, or who are in a higher income group. So when all these informations are available, then we can determine as to what are the goods that probably can be demanded by the people who are belonging to these different income groups, and accordingly the problem can be or the production activity can be planned in an economy. So the basic objective of any economist or a government has always been or should be that they would probably like to promote the people who are residing in a low income group to move on to a middle income group, and further down up the ladder, that is onto a higher income group. So this is how economy grows or economy prospers. So we have to analyze why these many percentages of people are falling in a low income group. So that analysis is possible only when we are getting an statistical information or economic data that can generate an analysis for the problems, for economic problems. Then second important thing is that it also helps us in finding out the ways to mitigate the problems. So what are the solutions? For example, we will get low income group people. So if they are, what are the problems? Why they are falling into a low income group? Are they not having to get an employment? Why they are not getting employment? Because they are not that much educated, because they are not healthy. So that these are some of the problems that can be analyzed upon and then can be mitigated or sorted out. So these measures lead to the formulation of various economic policies of the government. It could be related to employment generation, it could be related to health establishments that is going to provide medical facilities to the poor people who probably are not hale, healthy and hearty, and so they are not able to develop themselves as an economic resource or an economic capital that probably would help in moving the economy onto a higher ladder from underdeveloped country to a developing country, and finally to a developed nation. So statistical analysis of these economic data is very much essential and important for the well-being of the country and for the well-being of the citizens and the growth and development of a country. Now we move down to another important thing, that is what is statistics. When we say what is statistics, it refers to a data. Statistics means data. So statistics relates, the subject matter of statistics is going to be how we are going to collect the data. So there could be different types of data. There are primary data, there are secondary data. So what is the process of collection of data? Whether those collected data are authentic or reliable, only then they are going to give us the true information about the economy or the person. Then we start analyzing the data. There are different formats in order to analyze the data. And then after this analysis of the data, we interpret what they are going to speak about. So interpretation is done in economic terminology. It tries to establish correlation between, for example, if we talk about interpretation, let us say that we are talking about the prices and we are talking about the demand. If we are seeing that if there is an increase in the price of a product, then probably the demand is falling down. So if this is a process that is available in an economy, then what has to be the solution to the problem? So this is an interpretation that we have developed, that increase in the price of the product leads to the fall in the demand. So that interpretation has developed a negative relationship, inverse relationship between price and the quantity demanded of a product. So this interpretation can be presented in a tabular form, in a graphical form, and that will further give us a clearer picture of the functioning of an economy, and hence in the analysis of the concept we are talking about. Then statistics also helps us in the quantification of the data. This is what we have been doing when we talk about statistics. It is obviously the quantification of data. Apart from the quantification of data, statistics also gives us the qualitative data. For example, it tells us like women are doing fairer than the men in the in the workplace. The gender, there is fairer increase in the health status of the girl child in a family. So this is also a kind of qualitative information that we are getting. So these qualitative information also gives us an insight into the way the statistics probably might take shape, or the data might come when we are going to go for the quantification of the data. So qualitative analysis of data forms the parameter to initiate a step towards the quantification of the of the aspects or of the concept. Okay, now we move on to another important concept, that is what statistics does. So these are some of the important advantages or uses of statistics. So first, it is an indispensable tool for economists. An economist cannot speak in a vague language. He has to quantify the information that is going to give us a clearer picture about the way the economy is moving. For example, the income of the country. For example, the percentage of the people who are getting employment in a country. What is the rate of growth of employment in an economy? So all these are the quantitative data that is very much important for an economist to form a basis for their policy formulation. Then we are having these different methods, that is quantitative and qualitative methods, which also helps us in finding out the way the economy is moving. Then these statistical tools or information helps us in the formulation of the policies. Through these statistical tools, it becomes very convenient or proper to comprehend what the economists want to convey. Then if we are having huge number of data that can be condensed to a few numerical values, for example, we are talking about the average the income of the country. So that income of the national income of the country, total income of the whole citizens of the country probably will give us the national income of the country. So that becomes a huge data. So what we can say, we can find out the average income of the country. So that is the per capita income of the country. So that can give us an average idea that what is the income of the country, or what is the income of an individual in a country, average income of an individual in a country. So that will give us a fairer idea. So that is what this statistical tool does, is that it condenses the mass data into a few numerical measures, and then it establishes relationship between different economic factors or facts. So for example, we can talk about correlation analysis. We correlate the data, as I have already told you, we can establish a correlation between the price and the quantity demanded, the price and the quantity supplied. For example, if we are having price increasing, then the quantity demanded is going to fall, so it is having a negative correlation. If we say that price is increasing, then what is going to happen? The supply of the goods will also increase, so that is having a positive correlation. So the graph of price and demand will fall down, it is negatively sloped, and the graph of price and supply is going to be positively sloped. So this is how we try to interpret or establish a relationship between different components of an economy, and then try to develop certain concepts or certain conclusion. So this will also help us in predicting certain things, like if we are getting certain information from the statistical information, that will help us in the prediction, that if this is what is the trend that is happening, that over the years there has happened an increase in the income of the person, and there has happened a change in the demand pattern of the goods in an economy. So what we are seeing here is this, that as people are shifting from lower income group to middle income group, there is a tremendous shift in the pattern of goods that they are demanding. So that is going to bring a change in the production pattern that probably an economy would have. So we can say that this is the rate of growth of income in our economy, and probably this is going to be the rate of change in the demand, and it can move on to higher levels, and probably we can analyze that from 20 years or from 30 years or from 50 years what is going to be the production pattern of our economy, and likewise we can develop those technologies, so that then engineers role come in, and they can be told that okay, the production pattern probably needs to change because the consumption pattern might change in 50 years from now. So we need to develop new technologies which can cater to these kind of consumption requirements or demand requirements of the consumer. So it helps us in prediction also. And then this prediction is possible only through this trend analysis, which is done by the statistical tools. Now all these analysis and quantification and qualitative analysis of the data, statistical data, helps us in finding out solutions to different types of economic problems. So we conclude here by stating that statistics are very much important because they provide us with data which helps us in evaluating the policies of the government and its impact on the people, and it also helps us in making rightful decisions for the citizens of the country, and also guiding the government with different policy prescriptions that they probably should come up with different economic problems associating its citizens and its country for better economic growth, development and prosperity. Thank you.